Welcome. I'm so glad that you can join me here today. 206. This is 179th video from the 319 segments. And welcome to this audio-visual version of TheSovereignLight, named after my ministry, and this is a course in metaphysical spirituality, and my name is Reverend Maria Arvanitidis. How do you do? Rather than expect from the self and its conditions, relearn to believe, to trust more in where it can grasp the force of its will and bring around confidence from the self-esteem and most of all, its self-worth. And what it is that you value. Never mind what it might be outside of us and what the reflections might think of us. It's how we value, and through the self-esteem, the confidence arises. The know-how comes from the heart. So when we know something, it's not debating on the consequences, we just do it. And then the skills will follow with that determination that we ensue with passion, and that drives us forward. In every motion, there's a moment and another moment and another moment that creates momentum within this frequency. And take a moment now. This is excerpts 545 and 46, 2 pages that we will cover and to reveal the purpose for today. And you can opt to have your eyes closed or open. To say the following words out loud, to reaffirm and confirm and help guide you through the day in this supportive statement that you may say out loud, absorb, rethink, and think, and find value in these words that they may help to guide you throughout your day. And by doing so, take a few deep breaths in and really feel it in the depths of your heart. Yes. The consciousness, bring it into the heart space and open, vibrate out this breath. And take a few deep breaths in until you find the stillness within this peaceful place that you may sink and lower your consciousness into this heart space. And from here, everything that we bring from the outside comes this way and then ripples out and reflects, and we respond back. Do we mindfully, or do we react and then have other regrets about it and things like this? So contemplate on these words today. Take a few deep more breaths in until you feel that relief and release within the heart space and anchor. Find your center and out. Ready? Sounds good. My body is the temple to my oversoul. And the higher self is my inner spiritual force. My body is the temple to my oversoul, and the higher self is my inner spiritual force. My body is the temple to my oversoul, and the higher self is my inner spiritual force. And breathe that in. And open your awareness, rather, let your awareness open up to these words. To second guess this intuition has left the self out in the cluster of dysfunction, and its growth amongst the many in their power struggles that resist and bring about world conflict. In its confusion to squeeze from it its power to the outer for approval, did the self not know it had it right the first time? Playing with the shadows to hide amongst the many rules and consequences, the what-ifs that would deny it and unauthentically in its astute authority. From within its beingness, the state that it vibrates to create the frequency from within the heart space, this wisdom of enlightenment it has gained, and its strength plenty that it can admit to praising every lesson with these lessons in gratitude. Nothing else is left then, and that of completely to trust that it has come this far to surrender dearly to its death. So many times over, and in the regenerating of itself within its body to reside in, the relief in the feeling of joy that brought about this love about anything. It feels excitement from where it once felt fear. Project the love with no fail to find forgiveness, and from all that flushes to the surface will free up to make more room for this thing called enlightenment. Find reason to think, and it will be. Why does the self love for anything? And what is this love it feels, this knowingness? Can it be described at all through its experience today? My body is the temple to my oversoul, and the higher self is my inner spiritual force. So what emotion can the self find that love will squeeze from it? And as before, can it be described? Remember this embrace and all the variations that time constraints and its conditions have placed to bring about the pressure on, and now it can, to better describe rather than to react. What lies within the self that can be further squeezed out from and the embrace with all its creations that it may see as miracles? They are in everything that they light up to find and collapse from these waveforms into reality. In this way, all the power is given from embracing to connect inwardly. And with every breath, to anchor in this love. All is possible when the mind has resurrected and the self, it can see from a higher perspective than before. Yet another angle to reveal as fact. It is through the mercy that grace can be truly welcomed to appreciate physical life, and with its symptom, the higher version of compassion simultaneously. The lighter self becomes and feels to give and praise. With the following words that may reveal repeatedly until they find their value and grasped, absorbed, and recalibrated to reconfigure and transfigure within you and your reality a support. My body is the temple to my oversoul, and the higher self is my inner spiritual force. The purpose, and from every sliver of this consciousness that may light up to reveal the higher self, conducting and orchestrating this thing we call fate and destiny. The purpose is to feel the movement of divine energy surging through the physical containment, this temple, and as a light body being in the state of sovereign individuation in its intention. My body is the temple to my oversoul, and the higher self is my inner spiritual force. And breathe that in. Release all the resistance from the grasping of this value to these words. My body is the temple to my oversoul, and the higher self is my inner spiritual force. This free will that we have to guide us with discernment and the wisdom that we've gained through the experience within this, our temple, that we may lighten up and get out of our own way with all those doubts, to completely surrender and trust in this higher self that will reveal the oversoul and is our inner guidance to this spiritual force, this light from within, this chi, this prana, that when we breathe in and out, it torques and reveals our inner world and outer world, that we may combine, perhaps even remove the membrane, and become creator beings in this love of oneness and enlightenment through its wisdom. My body is the temple to my oversoul, and the higher self is my inner spiritual force. My body is the temple to my oversoul, and the higher self is my inner spiritual force. The deeper we go in, we ascend further. My body is the temple to my oversoul, and the higher self is my inner spiritual force. My body is the temple to my oversoul, and the higher self is my inner spiritual force. My body is the temple to my oversoul, and the higher self is my inner spiritual force.